Hello, everybody. This is your host, Reverend Jackie Griggs. I am here today for our Come Empty conversation. And today we are talking to life coach and a good friend of mine, Rhoda Makled. So first, before I even jump into telling people who you are, welcome, Rhoda. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm excited to be here with you.
Thank you. So I want to tell the audience a little bit about you first, right? Rhoda followed the traditional path of the American dream, like many of us do, right? She worked hard, pursued her career, got married, had a family, bought a house, the stuff that we all do, right? Got divorced, ended her career, and started all over again. And by following the American dream, she found that she was also an expert in human suffering. Uh, I can attest to that. And this, however, is what led to her second act. And in that second act, Rhoda has completely focused on healing her own pain. The pain of believing that she wasn't good enough, the pain of believing she wasn't safe, the pain of trying to control everything in her life. I could write you a book about that. I don't think we have time to talk about it today from my perspective, but I've been there too, right? But the result, which is something I really want you all to hear, the result of having gone through all of that and experienced all of that is she's found a deep sense of peace, right? The peace that is always here and always available to each and every one of us. And that has turned now into her third act, which is a life of holding the space to help others do the same. I love that so much, Rhoda, right? We all go through different phases of our lives, and then to be standing where you're standing now, right? Before I get too deep into questions, did you ever think, like, I don't know, maybe when you were younger, did you ever think that you'd be standing where you're standing now?
Oh, gosh, no.
It's not a trick question.
Gosh, no. I mean, isn't that the way of it, though? The
Mhm.
second that you think you know, life
Right.
shows you that you don't know and then gives you exactly what you need.
Yes.
That's what it feels like at this point. I mean, I feel like I would have turned the question right back. And did you think you would ever be where you are right now?
Mhm.
I mean, it's one of those, who could have predicted it?
Right, right.
Who could have ever predicted where you'd land, what you'd end up doing? I mean, I don't think that when I was coming up that there were many options besides become a teacher,
Mhm.
become a business person, become a doctor, become a lawyer. Like those were your options. Like that's
Right.
what you did. Maybe you became a writer if you weren't too concerned about raising a family and following the American dream. But no, never in a million years. Never.
Interesting. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too in a few minutes, but let's walk me back a little bit, right? Just from what I know about you and having chatted with you about different things. You were in the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
right? You were
Yeah.
living a corporate life and being a mom, a working mom, traveling, um, and as so many of us do. What was it about that phase and time in your life that led you to say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. You tell us what it told you. Hmm, maybe there's more. What was that like for you?
Yeah. I remember getting into the corporate world, and I want to say I was 5 years into my career after college. I got a degree in marketing. Why? Because, you know, that was the least path of resistance, something that would get me through the college degree that I so badly did not want to do, just had to go get it done. And I ended up working, commuting every day to a job. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And around about my third year, I'm driving to work. And, from the outside, it looks all fancy and lovely. I'm a consumer researcher and I fly around the world and I talk to people from all over the place, and I take helicopters from, New Jersey to New York because we don't have enough time to drive to the city. And gosh, we didn't do phone calls back then. Like you
Mhm.
had to meet face to face. And I just remember being in the car and saying, this cannot be it. This cannot be it. I was away from my kids all the time. I felt strangled by pursuing something that I could tell deep down in my heart just really wasn't it wasn't bringing me joy. There was no joy in life. And at that time, I remember people saying to me, the only place that happiness resides is within you. And God, that would frustrate me because I was certain there was no happiness in here. Like that
Mhm.
did not reside in this place of this knowing of consciousness, like that was not here.
Mm.
So when people would say, oh, but you're not going to be happy until you're happy inside, I would be like, you're crazy. There's something out there, somewhere going to
Yeah.
make me happy. Like it's got to be there because there was nothing in me that said happiness was a thing I could have.
Mm.
So I just kept pursuing and pursuing and pursuing. But it was right at like, literally remember being on a bridge. They used to have before they built those big overpasses that they have now between New Brunswick and Piscataway.
Mhm.
It was like 2 lanes. It was back to back traffic, and it was taken an hour to get from East Brunswick to Piscataway. Like
Mhm.
awful. And just saying, oh, I will not survive this life if this is what I have to do forever. So, and there was no like God moment. I don't think I believed in God at all. I can't even say I don't think I believe. I know I did not believe that there was a God. And if
Mhm.
there was one, he was certainly punishing me. That's
Mhm.
my perspective on it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, corporate life
Yeah.
was
But something turned the page, right? That led you to look elsewhere or look deeper or ask a question. What was that for you?
the very first. So I was raised. Um, my mother's family very American, meaning they'd been here for a very long time. They came from Scottish heritage. They were Baptists. My father's family, Palestinian Muslims, refugees from World War II. So I was raised in a place where God was very confusing,
Mhm.
and I felt very rejected by the Christian side of my family and wanted very badly to be accepted by them. And I was on a plane on my way to Minnesota, and a woman sitting next to me uh, basically prayed over me,
Mm.
prayed over me. She told me stories. I can't even tell you what words she used. All I know was that that very moment might have been the first time that I consciously knew as an adult that I wasn't alone
Mm.
and that there was something much greater than this little me running around trying to figure out how to be happy.
Mm.
And it shocked me. It literally felt like it shocked my system. Like there was like a wait, I'm really not alone. I'm really not out here on my own. So that was the very, but it was, it was a slow move, it was
Sure.
like that. It was like a recognition, but then, then the mind gets in there, the ego gets in there and starts telling you how that can't be it. And, well, maybe that was it for a little while because, but within 2 days, like all of that, oh, was gone. You
Yeah.
know? And yeah, and then there was just, it took time. It took
Yeah.
time. That was the
But it
very. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a door opener, right? Like,
Mhm.
we never know when that's going to happen or who it happens through, but it
Mhm.
always seems to be perfect timing,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, which, you get a door opened and you just, you start following little trails here and there.
Hmm.
So, what then, as if I can say this, because I don't want to not say that correctly, being on a spiritual path now. So, what was some of the first things, or maybe some of the first people you started listening to, books you started to read that really started to make that door like crack wide open a little bit, a lot more actually?
Right after that incident where a woman prayed over me and basically saved me was the term that she used. Um, I was introduced to A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles, in theory, felt to me much more in line with what intuitively felt true. That God was loving. There wasn't this hateful, someone's going to, you do the wrong thing and you're going to end up in fire and brimstone, or, maybe you'll be good and someday you'll have a, happy existence somewhere else. And it felt very, but it was very confusing.
Mhm.
So I didn't really like, I started reading it and I started studying it. I was not aware that there were groups or any, like that there was any place to go. Like, I thought maybe I was like you know, a lone leaf off in a stream somewhere, that there were no other leaves that were also interested in this particular path. And so I started actually going to those who were really questioning their thinking, but they wouldn't have necessarily said they were on a spiritual path. Byron Katie was one of my big ones.
Mhm.
And then um, Michael Singer, huge for me, just huge for me. Um, and then, I just kept progressing, and it kept progressing until the point where there was finally an opening that really felt like the belief in the oneness that we are became more than a belief. It became a visceral, experienced knowing.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, and it was, reading the experiences of folks like Michael Singer, folks like Eckhart Tolle, folks like Adi Ashante, that really helped me to see that I was not alone, that there really was this one, it feels like one movement that just keeps moving us through life.
Mhm.
And it just keeps moving us. So those were some of the first, like, I call those my first level influencers, and then came, once the door was open and once it was like, yes, this is what I've been looking for, then came all the teachers that followed. Lisa Natoli was one. I did her 40 days of happiness early on, or I don't believe that that's the right name for it, but I know it was a 40-day journey.
Mhm.
And so, uh, our good friend Eileen,
Mhm.
um, she had been into A Course in Miracles for a very long time, and she basically started shepherding me. Here, go
Mhm.
look at this one. Here, go look at that one. So
Yes.
Lisa Natoli came in, and Regina Dawn Akers came in, and Bill Free came in, and Rupert Spira, Muji. I'd never heard of any of these people
Mhm.
before.
Right.
before spending time with Eileen, and then becoming more active in Awakening Together and other communities who are just really focused on the whole non-dual path. And I got very excited about a place that looks at what is fundamentally true about so many spiritual teachings
Mhm.
and just trusts that all of those are a path
Right.
to knowing the truth.
Mhm. Not just one.
not just one path. There's not like,
Many paths.
the very first door open was here, accept Jesus Christ as your savior, you will be saved.
Right.
Like, and for me, it was a lovely door opening, but it felt, being in a multi-religion household.
Mhm.
My dad's a Muslim, my mother's a Christian, my brother married a Jewish woman. Like, we were not, we were not we became like the League of Nations this. And so for me, it felt, it just didn't feel true that it could be possible that these people who I know are genuinely good people
Mhm.
not be included just because they didn't follow this one path.
Right.
So, and it feels like that's what it feels like has been so wonderful about following the whole non-dual path. It's eye-opening in that it doesn't matter how you get there.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I don't know if Dr. Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul, was quoting someone else, but he was one of the first people I heard say, that there are many paths to God, right? I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds true, right? I can't just be one path, but there are many, and I never forgot that. So when you look at where you've come from, the different paths on non-duality of teachings and what have you, where would you say you are now? Where do you stand on your spiritual path?
Well, that's been a funny topic as of late. That's been a funny topic as of late. There's you and I had together, with many others, had together been looking at how Dr. David Hawkins describes the paths, or the levels, I think he calls it. And there's, obviously there's multiple ways of looking at it. But the one level that I felt immediately drawn to as what felt like primarily true for me was courage.
Hmm.
And yeah, there was some fun confusion around there where I thought, well, no, because my spiritual aspiration is to love life as it is, so I must be in acceptance. Yeah, that's not so. There is definitely a whole lot of courage, purification happening here. So surrender is kind of really where I am at this point. I feel like I'm just in the stream of just watching habit energy, watching it and doing everything I can consciously be aware of to know when habit energy is being accessed and not acting from that.
Mhm. And define for our audience what you mean when you say habit energy.
So, when you think about how consciousness is constructed, um, so according to science, the first 7 years of our life is spent in these theta states, which is basically hypnosis, where we are learning everything that we essentially need to know about how to survive in the world. We learn, you know, who our caretakers are, we learn how to walk, we learn how to communicate, and we're basically in this place of receiving, 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 receiving. And during that time, the conscious energy starts developing. But everything basically is habit at that point. Basically, we're learning how to form habits. Once you learn how to walk, most of us don't need to learn how to walk again. Once you learn how to drive, most of us don't need to learn how to drive again. And so habit energy is that energy which isn't forgotten easily. And
Mhm.
it's almost like automatic. Like, it happens so fast that you don't really need to act. Like, I don't need to think, okay, take a step. Okay, take a step. Like, walking is happening, right?
Mhm.
Talking is happening. Language is happening. Like, this is just happening. So that's habit energy. The bad news about that, not the bad news, the good news about that actually is that there are also lots of habits that we don't necessarily see that aren't really about our functioning.
Mhm.
One of the main habits that I find myself trying to just be really consciously aware when I'm acting from it is my desire to fix it.
Mm.
There's this habit of wanting to fix it. Whenever something appears to not be okay in the world, there's this habit that comes up that I want to fix it. Or there's a habit where the ego says to me, oh, you can't do that. And
Mm.
that belief goes to it. And it's been happening for so long that I don't necessarily see it unless I'm really truly conscious.
Mm.
And I notice, oh, wait, I'm in pain right now. This can't be what's true. What am
Right.
I, what is the habit that's kicked up? So does that
Oh
clarify?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was starting to think, it could it also means, like, for example, I think I experienced that yesterday. Um, you know, uh not reacting. Like, reaction is can be habit energy, right? So somebody says something, somebody does something, and the immediate habit is to respond or react to what was said or done.
Mhm.
So as opposed to, like, can I pull back and just let whatever is being said be said, or the person that just cut me off in traffic? Oh, I mean, they've done it already, So, how long do I stay in there reacting to that? So that's a good example of what you meant about habit energy. If someone had not heard that before, but you. So let me just stay on that piece for a moment. So realizing, that there are habit energies, right? What are some of the things you do to notice and to do differently than just go into the habit?
The guidance that always comes for me is to slow it down. There is almost nothing that is accomplished by allowing myself to react as if I know. So it's a big what it looks like for me is I trust that I don't know what anything's for. This was one of was a teaching that Byron Katie had been giving forever. And I just could not understand it for the longest time. But it has so crystallized now because every time I act as if I know, that's habit energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if I trust that I don't know, I don't know exactly what this interaction that I'm having with Jackie right now is for, but I trust that if I slow down, I'm not going to get reactive to anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to trust that what is to come out is going to be said. And I'm going to watch intently. Like, am I feeling discomfort? Am I feeling, and it doesn't, we speak about pain. It doesn't have to be that kind of pain that, you know, when you're depressed and you're feeling helpless and hopeless, like it's not that kind of pain. It
Mm-hmm.
can be as simple as, I feel a little uncomfortable right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not the light, peaceful, free way I'm used to feeling. Like, I notice contracting's happening right now. And that for me is an immediate signal.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Just stop. One of my favorite, one of my most referenced pieces of guidance that came in for me was to sincerely trust only peace, which is STOP. Sincerely trust only peace. So if I'm not feeling peace, that's a huge indicator for me that habit energy is here. And if I just slow down and look and see what's happening, I've got an opportunity to not react from it.
Wonderful. I love that. So STOP, right?
Yes,
Sincerely trust only peace.
yes,
That
ma'am.
sounds like a t-shirt.
It does, doesn't it? We'll have to make some.
Don't you know I will do that.
You will.
We'll be walking around town like STOP. What is that? Read the back of the shirt, people. Sincerely trust only peace.
Yeah.
I love the practice. I love that. And also you mentioned something we could all use in practice, which is to just slow down, right? And most importantly, notice, right? Just slow down. And because really it's almost as though, I should say not almost, when you do slow down, it gives you a chance to notice, right? It's like without that pause, you can go shoot, quickly. So we've talked about a couple of things like some of the practices that you do. What would you say has been, when you look back at things, or even you can look at where you are now, what has been the most challenging for you on the path?
Not believing the ego. I mean, there is no question that that continues to be challenging in the way that it's just, the habit energy is just so ingrained that, you just can't see it until you see it. And, there are moments where I will go, holy mackerel, clearly I believe that, because I'm already like, I'm beyond discomfort. I am now full-blown crisis mode. Like, what is happening? Phone a friend, like, what do I gotta do? Somebody talk me off the ledge. Somebody remind me, what do I do in these moments? But the good news about that for me has been that it's kind of like, if I don't see it, there's no opportunity to heal it. So, I remember Oprah used to say this all the time, and maybe she was quoting someone else. I have no idea, but it's a teaching I've heard often, and I always attribute it to her. And that was, life is going to get your attention one way or another. Eventually you will hit a brick wall.
Right.
One way or another. So I can't do this wrong, because life will throw a brick wall up in front of me if I'm not getting it.
That's right. That's right.
That's kind of, I mean, it's good news in that. It's good news in that if you trust that that's really what it's for, then, bring on the brick wall if I'm not seeing it. Now, I'd like to get it way before the brick wall, please. I'd like to feel it when it feels like a feather rubbing my face. I'd like to get it way before then, but, we get it when we get it. We see it when we see it. And, so for me, just really resting in that truth that trust is what we are. Love is what we are. Acceptance is our nature. And to just, when things are going awry, here it is.
Yep.
Opportunity for healing. Bring it on. Bring it on. So yeah. But not believing the ego mind, I would say, has been the biggest hurdle, getting over that whole. And for me, the biggest message, the two biggest messages, that the three biggest messages the ego mind brings to me are, you're not worth it and you're never going to be. You are not safe, and the only one who can save you is me. That's my ego mind speaking. And the truth isn't true. You might as well forget about it. There ain't nobody here to save you, sweetie pie.
Right.
You are on your own. You are cast out from the herd. You are that one single dot of light in all the blackness. Like, that's you. So those are the three that I most commonly run up to and run into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because I think I share probably all of those.
They're pretty common.
So there, you're not alone. We're doing this together. But yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly every one of those things have been and still are in ways. But you know where I was going to go with that is I was thinking as you were talking about awakening. You know, people have so many different, connotations, understandings, thoughts, opinions about what awakening is. I've often heard people say, well, you're really already awakened. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, except I don't know that, and that's the problem. um, and I understand it and totally respect that, and I'm not denying it at all. But at the same time too, um, it feels very much like, and I'd love for you to tell me, it feels very much like awakening is um, unless you already have I'm enlightened, um, a moment by moment occurrence.
I have discovered that the only time I can be conscious is right now.
Hmm.
The only moment I have for awakening is right now.
Hmm.
Um, I think what I have gleaned from where I hear folks saying you are already. I mean, St. Francis says it, right? What you are looking for is where you are looking from.
Hmm.
And that was not clear to me for the longest time. Like I don't, it's the same thing as somebody telling me that happiness already resides in me when I am miserable as all get out.
Hmm. Hmm.
It feels like there's a certain innocence because this consciousness thing is a very clever act, right?
Hmm.
For us to believe that we are in this illusion, it has to be a very clever sort of theatrical display of the how could you ever believe that the truth isn't true unless it was this complex amazing thing.
Hmm.
So what I notice is I when there is attention on what the truth of what I am, on the consciousness, on the awareness, on that which doesn't ever change, there's an understanding that I am already what I am seeking.
Hmm.
Like the phrase I've heard from Paul Hederman speak from Ramana Maharshi is being ourselves reality. So we are already reality and we're seeking to find ourselves, although we're already reality. And it feels like such a mind game.
Hmm.
I slow down, as I really slow down when I'm, especially if I'm consciously looking at awareness or, and it doesn't even have to be in practice. It can be right here with you right now. I can feel the truth.
Hmm.
Awareness is here.
Yes.
It's here.
Hmm.
Am I more in tune, more interested in that? Or am I more interested in all of this? I think for me, that's what's been revealed in hearing so many teachers say, you are already what you're seeking. You are already that.
Yeah.
I think that what I'm noticing is that there's still a desire very much alive in me, which says, but I want that all the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Be in that space all the time. And that, for me, what I'm starting to notice presupposes that there's ever a time that I could not be that.
Hmm.
And I I can see that that just isn't true. And so it's become really clear that again, this habit of wanting something I don't have because I think that's what it is,
Hmm.
just another habit to be let go of.
Hmm.
This desire thing, like enough.
Enough already.
Enough.
Well, what you said reminded me too of um, something Reverend Michael Beckwith used to say. I've heard him say a gazillion times. It feels like, what you're looking for, you're looking with. And
Yes.
that always used to just land in such a soft spot for me, even though it's like, I understand what you just said. I understand that, and but it is part of, a person could be part of a person's journey to take that from intellectual understanding to actually living it and knowing that that is, absolutely true, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I love your example there of just, you know, how could you not be, right? If it wasn't for the thing where we're casting our attention,
Mhm.
it's here all the time. And so we're the ones, right, that is choosing
Amen.
where to place our attention.
Yeah, I mean, casters of attention. I mean, you said it beautifully, Jackie. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're casting our attention, lending our reality to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we are already that which we are seeking. And so it doesn't feel so foreign anymore to notice that we are already that.
Yeah.
It's really, that's why it feels to me like placing as much consciousness as available on noticing when habit energy is rising, because the only
Mm-hmm.
thing that's blocking that is me acting habitually,
Mm-hmm.
is me thinking I know, versus that very restful sort of I don't know. And if I slow it down enough, I can see these habits that are going to come up and not feel bad about it anymore.
Right.
Like there's
Exactly.
no guilt anymore that it's there. Most of the time. Sometimes there's still guilt. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's still guilt that I would have to be, yeah, there's still guilt sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but nothing like realizing that this is just, it's running, it's doing its thing, it's on automatic. It is a system that has been miraculously designed to do what it's doing.
Yep.
And I'm watching.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes I will falsely identify as the system. Sometimes I'll allow myself to be in the game. Let's play the dream. It's dream
Yeah.
time. and and when that happens now, it doesn't it I mean, I guess the practices of watching habit energy has allowed me now to just look at it and feel, okay, that was just habit energy.
Right. Right.
Is just habit energy as it's happening. I can stop. Just
Mm-hmm.
stop.
I love that. You know, several years ago, you may have heard me say this before, but um, uh, the lady who was our pastor, Reverend, at New Thought Church here in New Jersey, used to say, the first time I heard her say, "Oh, be kind to yourself," and I was like, I mean, I buy myself stuff, I give massages, and what does she mean, right? Like, and then she would just say that often, over and over and over again, and then it went from that to just annoying me. It's like I would get annoyed by hearing that. Like, why would you get annoyed by hearing that? But as I have continued on, and even with what I just heard you say, even when you fall into habit energy, to be kind with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Because, the guilt or the badgering that could come up can really, sometimes, in my experience, it can be like, okay, really, really, come on, you meditated this morning, you contemplated, why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And then that little voice comes in and says, still be kind to yourself. I just love that quote. And I know Karen Drucker has a song, I Will Be Gentle with Myself. That's the name of it. I love that song because it just like, ooh, it just cuts the chains, right? It's like, it gives you freedom to just be okay with what is.
I heard it recently. Actually, it was a retreat. It was a retreat you were leading. That whole phrase, extravagant tenderness, is just
Mm-hmm.
or is it Father Boyle? Father Boyle, yeah.
Yeah.
Extravagant tenderness. Because why? We are innocent.
Yes.
We are innocent. I mean,
Mm.
golly, I mean, as innocent as the day we were born. We are
Yes, indeed.
so innocent.
Mm-hmm.
This system is a magnificent machine that is capable of doing things and showing up and making things. And it's just, I mean, but it's all for the illusion.
Yeah.
It's all it's for.
Mm.
And so either, there's no point anymore in giving myself a hard time about any of it
Yeah.
because we are innocent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be kind.
That's right. Another T-shirt, extravagantly tender, right?
That's another t-shirt.
Another T-shirt. All right, we're gonna pump them out, people, because I absolutely love that. So, I have a few more questions here for you. Oh, I know what I was gonna do. So, let's play a little word game here.
All right.
Um, so I'm gonna throw out the word, and you tell me what comes to mind for you. Surrender.
Oh, just that. Oh. So what comes to mind immediately is to just let it go and absolutely love what is here right now. Invite it on in. Come on, baby. Sit on my lap.
Yes, yes. Um, how about open heart?
Mm, that is just an invitation to the world,
Mm,
to greet the world every day with that open, trusting, innocent heart.
mhm.
I love those words.
Beautiful. Um, awareness.
It feels like the basis of everything, awareness. There's It feels like there would be no knowing of anything without it. It is that never changing, unending, contextual field of grace.
Beautiful. Um, my next one is trust.
I feel like I'm on Super Soul Sunday. Gorgeous woman interviewing me, asking me these questions. Love that.
This is
Trust.
the earth. This is the earth other version of that.
Love that. I gotta say, that word, it's so funny, that word, for the longest time, what that meant to me was that was something I had to accomplish. That
Mm,
I had to figure out. I had to learn how to trust it. I had to figure out how to be it. And this is brand new for me, by the way.
mhm.
I just recently became really clear that all trust ever is just acceptance of what is.
Mm,
That's all that trust is. It's For me, it always had a component of hope and future and something is going to be okay. And I think on some level there is just this deep sense when intention is on trust, there is just an abiding sense of wellness in this moment, knowing nothing could ever be not the way it's supposed to be. So it's just full on acceptance and just knowing that it's perfect right now.
mhm.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's a new one for me. So thanks for letting me teach that to myself again.
Yes, and to me too. Teaching that to me as well. I love that. Just another way of accepting what is. I love it. And my last one has to be joy.
Oh, joy. Joy is our abundant nature. we when we spoke about how I couldn't understand how happiness could actually be what I am or from within me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't remember how it is that I didn't know that.
Mm.
I know that there was a time that I didn't know that joy was fully accessible in any moment. And that the only thing that ever blocked it was my desire for things to be different than they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing that has ever blocked the joy. The only thing. And without that desire, what else is there? Joy.
Mm.
Just joy.
Just joy. That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for playing that game with me.
Thank you for playing that game. That was fun. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's talk about, like, what do you mind sharing maybe your meditation practice?
Oh no, I'd be happy to share it. So currently, um, mostly I do watching awareness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do a whole lot of loving all meditative method and loving consciousness. Um, and with all of those practices, my intention is to put attention on that which I really am and to
Mm-hmm.
be more interested in that which I really am than on the objects that are coming up in conscious awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's pretty much my practice. That's
Wow.
pretty much my meditation practices. I do meditate regularly, meaning every day, and multiple times a day sometimes. But I use the meditative loving all, which is basically, um, I'm sure you know about it, Jackie, but
Please
it,
share it with the audience. Yeah.
it is it basically starts by looking at things that you're wishing were different than they are. You basically start by making a list. So for me, often the way it comes out is if I find myself in a moment where I can see that I'm resisting what is, I um, focus right on that thing, and then I turn inward and I focus on the feelings, like how's it feeling in the body? What are the feelings that are coming up? And I just sit with that until I can accept the feelings that are here right now, until there's like really acceptance, like I cannot sense any resistance in my system whatsoever. And then I move to loving those feelings. This method was actually born from Regina Dawn Akers, uh, created it, but it was born from the practices of Michael Langford,
Mm-hmm.
loving consciousness methods. So we start by focusing on the feelings that are being generated as a result of the upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move to, once we are feeling fully accepting of it, we then move to loving it, loving the feelings, only the feelings. We're not worried about the upset. We're just focused on loving the feelings. And once I feel like the feelings are being fully loved and I'm not resisting in any way, then I bring the object of the upset back into awareness. And I sit with it until I can accept it exactly as it is. And for me, there's a little bit of like inviting it in and, letting it be here and letting, just really kind of telling myself that it's okay for it to be here for as long as it needs to be. Like it's okay.
Mm.
You are welcome for as long as it needs to be like this. And once I feel like I've really accepted it, then I bring love in and I just allow myself to feel the love while
Mm-hmm.
holding the object. Now, I may not necessarily love the object, but I allow the feeling of love, the presence of love to just be here while I hold the object in awareness.
Mm.
And once that feels like, okay, I have been able to hold love and hold the object and not feel any resistance, then that part of it is complete. And so that's kind of like a, you know, I need something in the middle of the day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a particular upset that needs attention. So that's kind of like an ancillary
Mm.
method that I use.
That's beautiful. So you allow whatever that is to come into like your awareness,
Mm-hmm.
or like identifying what the thing is, right? Instead of pushing it away, like, oh no, or what have you. Allow you name it,
Mm-hmm.
you sit with it,
Mm-hmm.
you allow it to be,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point you bring love to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the key is really to first start with the feelings that it's generating.
Like, what are the feelings that are happening because of this?
Yeah. So, what am I feeling? Because that's typically what I'm resisting at first. I'm resisting what I'm feeling. I'm resisting, you know, that I'm angry, or I'm resisting that there's jealousy or rage, or, you know, whatever that feeling is, there is resistance to that. And so, you know, I mean, we know that if it's coming up, then it's coming up to be healed.
Right.
So, and if I keep pushing it away, well, that's, you know, that's pushing it back down into the subconscious. That's pushing it back down into the habit energy and
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, I'm just going to keep acting from this habit.
Mm-hmm.
By allowing it to come up and noticing the feelings, seeing where I feel it in the body, and just accepting the feelings and then loving the feelings, like really loving them. You know, and for me, what often happens is once I have fully accepted the feelings, there's less contraction in the body, there's less fire in the body, there's less rage in the system. And by the time I've gotten to loving the feelings, that has pretty much dissipated. There's essentially no trace of whatever that feeling of anger, which then allows me to bring the actual object into awareness and now work on accepting it. Because if I push away my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you
Yeah.
I'm not accepting the object at all.
Right. Right. So you have to deal with the feelings first.
Yes, the feelings first. Yeah. And then the object.
Very good. Well, we have just a few more minutes, and I have maybe one or two more questions. Um, First of all, the name of the podcast is called Come Empty, right? That's the name of it. Um, and I always ask all of the guests on the show, what does that mean to you to come empty, to your spiritual life? It could be your meditation practice. What does that phrase mean for you?
You know, in the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, it is often described as, it is often guided to come as the empty shell, come to life as the empty shell.
Mhm.
And for me, being the empty shell is truly, truly inhabiting the I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what anything is for. I I remember a time when I believed I knew what things were for. I really believed it with everything that I have. And there are still moments. But when it comes to this being empty, coming empty, I can only trust that I don't know what anything is for. And as long as I am trusting that I don't know what this is for, what anything is for, then I can be shown.
Mm.
One of my favorite lines from Avatar: it is hard to fill a cup that is already full.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
She's such a wise woman. I love strong women. It's totally science fiction, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
worth it, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you said. I just said that today to somebody.
There you go. It's hard to fill a cup that is already full.
Before, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we are right at about time, but there's two things I wanted to say. First of all, I think you were being extremely modest about what you do, because you also lead retreats,
Thank
right? Yes, you do. And you have a retreat that's coming up in the summer, right?
you this August.
So if you don't mind just telling the audience the name of your retreat, what it's about, the date, the place, all of that good stuff.
Happy to do that. Thank you. I'm actually leading a retreat at the end of August in La Veta, Colorado. And it is called the Loving Consciousness, Loving All Retreat. That retreat was actually designed by Regina Dawn Akers and Michael Langford. And the intention of that retreat is to teach the methods of loving consciousness and some supporting practices around there. So it's basically 5 days in gorgeous La Veta, Colorado. I know you've been there, Jackie, but for your audience, in this beautiful mountainous setting, every day outside, where we will spend time every day in the loving consciousness meditation and in contemplation of quotes that were compiled by both Michael and Regina, and in learning these methods like the loving all meditative method, the one we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Just allowing ourselves to really be with consciousness and learn to love the truth of what we are, learn to actually see why
Mm-hmm.
that so many teachers are now saying, not now, but have always been saying, you are already what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
To really look deeply at that and to really be with that and to really discover it for yourself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And do you post that like on your website specifically?
That is actually posted on the awakening-together.org website. So that is
Yeah.
posted there.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can, I don't know if I'm doing it through Awakening Together. So I don't know if I can post it on my website. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is in La Veta. It is in La
Yeah.
Veta.
Just wanted to make sure people could find it if they're interested. And so that's really beautiful. I'm very excited about that retreat. Because yes, I will be there.
You can come hang with Jackie and me. And
Yes.
we're
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. Rhoda, it has been my pleasure, my true pleasure to talk with you, and I even learned different things that I didn't know. So see,
There we go.
there we go. Thank you for being on Come Empty podcast with me, and I look forward to more opportunities for us to talk in the future.
Thank you, my friend. It's been a
Thank you.
delight.
Thank you. Beautiful.